haunted house with walls of whispered secrets and floors that creak with doubt. 100 ghosts called this place their home, their souls forever trapped within its gloomy dome. The first ghost was a lady in white, her eyes filled with sorrow. Her story was tragic, her fate unknown until tomorrow. She floated through the halls, her presence chilling the air, leaving a trail of coldness, of sadness, and despair. The first ghost was a lady in white, her eyes filled with sorrow. Her story was tragic, her fate unknown until tomorrow. She floated through the halls, her presence chilling the air, leaving a trail of coldness, of sadness, and despair. The second ghost was a soldier, his uniform tattered and torn. He marched through the rooms, his ghostly presence worn. He fought in a war long forgotten by time, his spirit haunted by memories of a crime. The third ghost was a child, her laughter echoing in the night. But her smile held the darkness of fear that gripped tight. She played with the toys, her innocence a lie. For her soul was tainted with a sorrow that would never die. The fourth ghost was a maid, her hands forever stained with blood. She scrubbed at the floors, her mind a swirling flood of guilt and regret, of secrets untold, her spirit haunted by sins of old. And so the ghost went on and on, each one with a story, each one with a song of love and loss, of pain and fear. Their haunted whispers loud and clear. Went on and on, each one with a story, each one with a song of love and loss, of pain and fear, their haunted whispers loud and clear. The haunted house was their prison, their eternal home. A place of shadows, of darkness, of gloom. Where the walls held memories, the floors whispered lies, and the ghost roamed free beneath the haunted skies. But one day, a brave soul ventured into the house. His heart full of courage, his mind full of doubt. He walked through the halls, his footsteps echoing loud. His presence, a beacon, a light in the shroud. The ghost walks.
non più tra i farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di torno girano, delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto a Tocino d'amor, delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto a Tocino d'amor.
Welcome, college football fans, to another weekly installment of
Your Team Sucks Donkey Balls.
with Dr. Balls.
What's going on, guys?
Podcast Productions, Doug.
Sorry, I did not have you on. I did have you on, and it popped you out. So hopefully, we're not seeing a trend here. But
Oh, goodness.
anyway, what's going on?
All this fun and excitement. Right. What about Scully? Is he joining us tonight?
He is. He's coming in about 20 after, and then Alex Bryan. I don't know exactly when Alex Bryan's coming. I think by the half hour, he'll be
There
here
you go.
too.
Because I think it's interesting because, to talk up that matchup, because I just seen a stat where James Freeman, not James Freeman, I can't believe I called him. Franklin is 1-9 against Ohio State at Penn State.
Yes, and we're definitely going to have to ask Scully about this. And 1-8 versus top 5 teams.
At home.
6-9 versus ranked teams at home. No. 1-8 versus top 5 teams. Period.
Damn it, Jim.
And then 6-9 versus ranked teams at home, and 1-6 versus top 10 teams at home.
Goodness. Sounds to me like
Yes.
he's been picking on the little boys, but we're going to leave that for Scully because you know what? Your team sucks, donkey balls.
Absolutely. Ed, can you hear us? Maybe Ed went to the bathroom. Don't know.
He might have been using the potty.
Maybe. All right.
Never
So
mind.
let's look and see if. I guess I'm going to open a door.
Open the door. Fuck it. Let's do it.
Let's go ahead and get these fucking losers right here, right out of the fucking gate. Let's get them off the agenda.
Ain't nobody want to talk about these goddamn bums. Nobody, no one at all. Let's go on to the side. Let's go on to the side. 'Cause they ain't worth a fucking time.
So I threw those guys in. People that we've talked about way too much on this podcast.
Bad. Sometimes I know it seems like you're harping on stuff or you're spending time on it, but when it gets so bad, it's beyond belief. Sometimes you have to spend even a little bit of time on it,
I agree. Ed, can you hear us? Ed, can you hear us?
Ground
Ed's having-
control to Major Ed.
All right, so Ed's having problems. So yeah, did I have Stoops on that?
You
think
did.
I-
I seen UK. I seen
Okay.
Mississippi State. So Stoops does deserve to be on that list because, frankly, his team sucks donkey balls. And as a longtime Kentucky fan, I've suffered through a lot. But to regress again back to the old Kentucky, where ineptness and being undisciplined and stupidity loses you football games, I'm just not ready for that, guys. But there's a solution on the horizon. And I believe we'll hear more about it. And his name is John Summerall. Do you remember John Summerall?
Yeah, the name sounds familiar.
I think he was a coach at Alabama. He was an assistant there. I don't know. I think he was a position coach though, and not a coordinator. And then he was a defensive coordinator at Kentucky, and he had been an offensive line coach before. And I think he's now coaching at Troy. And a lot of people's calling for him to replace Stoops because you couldn't get no worse, right? You got to start a clean slate when you're proving you can't have offense. And now I really finally realize I've listened to enough Kentucky sports radio and other sources that I really know what's going on in Kentucky. So here's what's going on in Kentucky. Last year, the Texas A&M talked to Stoops, and he went all in, including hiring and calling guys to hire and this is recent news that's come out. He was calling guys to hire his staff that he would have at Texas A&M before he actually was offered the job, thinking he was going to get the job. Well, then he didn't get the job, and then he lost some of those coordinators and had to get a new OC. That's why we got Bush Hamden at Kentucky as the OC. So he had to put together a last minute coaching staff at Kentucky. Now this year, after being rejected by Texas A&M, he's went back to UK, who he was ready to leave, right, and produce the results he's produced. So I think that he ought to go on and that he sucks donkey balls.
Yes, I totally agree. Who else? So there's probably a name in here that we might mention again. And matter of fact, we're
Can you
probably
hear me now?
Yes, we can, Ed.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to open door number 2 here. And let's just go ahead and get this one out of the freaking way as well. This is our dead man's door. And the person we're fixing to talk about was probably on that list of people that we're tired of fucking talking about.
There once was a man named Bob who tripped on a big fat cob. He fell with a splat right into a mat. Now he's known as the jobless blob.
Norvell.
I'm thinking that this is definitely a dead man walking, and I don't see Norvell getting into next season. But now stranger things have happened.
I'm not convinced they're going to fire him after last season's success.
Oh no, I think he's gone.
I'm not sure how successful last season was. I mean, it looked good, but he couldn't take those players into a fucking bowl game that they could have really gone a long way in helping their brand, because Florida State is not the brand they used to be.
No.
And they could have went a long way if they would have just showed up and played Georgia with everything they had. I think it would have really helped. I mean, I think they've got bad juju at this point.
Oh, I agree 100%, Doug. They didn't make any showing whatsoever. They became a team that laid down and became a team that lays down culturally, right? So the culture at Florida State is not strong. But I'll tell you what, I believe there's hope on the horizon. So if he don't retire, because I see this guy doing one of two things. Either his son goes to the NFL and he retires, or his son goes to the NFL and he moves on to the next step. I think it's all setting up behind the scenes for Deion Sanders to be the head coach of Florida State University.
That'd be fucking interesting.
It would be interesting, but here's why. Because these are marquee programs. Florida State is a marquee program. Every week, if you are a fan of college football, you should be seeing something happening with Florida State that the whole foundations of college football are shattered by. And they're not doing that. They moved away from that to being another team in a conference that isn't well regarded, the ACC. So Florida State is at not marquee level. That makes their matchups with other teams in the state, such as Florida and Miami, marquee matchups, right? And all that's good for college football. Just like Notre Dame being good, it's good for college football for there to be usurpers, outsiders, legitimate threats to the SEC and Big Ten powerhouses. And FSU is not that, and culturally they never will be because they haven't bought in. They're not ready to fight. So therefore, Norvell sucks donkey balls.
Absolutely, he sucks donkey balls, and I feel he's a dead man walking, even if he doesn't go down this year. But I don't know, man. What are they? 1-7?
Yeah, but you got to strike while the iron is hot, and I believe that at the end of this year, Deion Sanders, his son is going to go to the NFL, and then he'll be open to offers such as going to Florida State, because I believe otherwise Deion don't really care. He just wanted his kids. He wanted to coach his son all the way through, and that I believe he'd probably retire. But the fact that he played at FSU and he's a big name and it's a big deal to him, I believe he'll take over Florida State. If you're smart and you're running Florida State You want the circus to come to town, and the circus is Deion Sanders because the circus is how you get attention and how you bring back prominence to Florida State. Even though I don't think he's a great coach, I think he's an adequate coach. I think that the circus behind it will bring enough attention in order for Florida State to get back on the national map.
He is a recruiter.
Definitely.
He would definitely have him in the news all the time.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think if they made him a fair offer, he would take it.
Oh yeah.
oh,
And you know what, Ed?
absolutely.
You know what, Ed? Ozzy Osbourne and P.T. Barnum both said the same thing. Any publicity is publicity.
Well, if
You know what I'm
Ozzy said it, it's got to be right.
If Ozzy said it, it's got to be right, and that is correct, sir.
saying?
Yep.
All right, so let's get to these real fucking doors. And some of these people we haven't really fucked with yet this year, so we'll have some debuting going on.
We're
Bouncing to the left, hey, 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 hey. Bouncing to the right, hey, 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 hey. Those donkey balls are bouncing and they will not get away. The worthless and the weak, they can't pretend another day.
Is he up to the standards of Arizona football that we've seen in the past? And by the way, it's really been a long time since Arizona was relevant.
Oklahoma.
You know, I really hate to put a first-year coach in, and that's what he is. But this team has had a lot of expectations this year, and I don't really know what's going wrong. They started the season ranked 21st. Beat New Mexico, Northern Arizona. You know, give me games they should be. Got their ass handed to them by Kansas State. Not too big of a deal. Kansas State's good. Beat Utah. Number 10 Utah at the time. That really
Without Cam, though.
Right. True story. Lost. They are on a four-game skid right now, and that's why I stuck them on here. Lost to Texas Tech. Probably should have been able to beat Texas Tech at home. They were at home. Not Texas Tech, but went on the road and got their ass handed to them by BYU. Probably expected. They lose at home to Colorado 34-7. Probably shouldn't have happened. Maybe Colorado won. Lost to West Virginia at home, and that's a haul for West Virginia to go all the way to fucking Arizona. They should have had jet lag. There's no way.
Yeah,
that they should have lost to West Virginia at home.
And West Virginia has disappointed this year.
Yes,
because they've not been great.
but not this week.
They've been right. Yeah, there was a big deal on the local news that they went out west to beat Arizona. Right now, if you see big city college football press like Cincinnati and Columbus and stuff like that, it's way different than it is here in Appalachia. Like everybody's the hometown team, like Marshall and West Virginia and Morehead State and crap like that, and they act like it's the end of the world, and then they win and they act like they beat sticking the number one team or something. So it's crazy to be watching WVU Homer local. I love local sports broadcasts. You know what I'm saying? We get so much ESPN and all that. If you can get any local flavor, it's all right. But West Virginia has disappointed in general, but I think this says more about the Big 12. I think the Big 12 that exists right now, the rank and file in it, right, is better than the rank and file was in the Pac-12. So therefore, Arizona, when they stepped up to being rank and file in the Big 12, they found out it was like the NFC East in 1990. All the teams are good.
Yeah, it's it really, even BYU is not a great team. There's really no great teams in the Big 12, but there's a lot of decent to good teams. A lot.
They're solid, man. All of them. We just talked about Kansas State. Even Kansas had a few decent games this year. BYU, Utah, all these teams has been solid. Oklahoma State, they've been in dogfights. Arizona just joined the dogfight. Is all they did.
You can't just zip into Waco. You can't just zip into Waco and expect an easy win either.
BYU's their claim to anything this year really is beating Kansas State at this point. That's the
Well,
best
because
team.
they beat them handily.
Yes, they did. Beat the
Yes.
shit out of them, and BYU was not really on anybody's radar. They started the season unranked, and they just really got a ranking at the end of September. They went into the Baylor game at 22. This
Now,
is a
what's their
good team.
coach's name, Doug? Does anybody know what the coach at BYU? I can look it up. Who's the coach at BYU? And I've started following him a little bit, kind of like Signetti at Indiana. And what I've seen about him is that unlike Norvell, um, he's team cohesiveness is his whole gig, right? And that's what's interesting.
He's a ninth year coach, and his name is Kalani Sataki.
Yes,
Well,
that
the
guy.
thing is, at a school like BYU, they will run you out of town if the culture's bad, based upon what the university's all about. You just can't stay there.
Oh, I agree. So they're tight and they're well coached and they're playing for each other out there, which I respect. But I think that right now their position is based on their schedule hasn't been so tough. But the last few games are heating up for BYU, and they went and beat UCF at home pretty handily. Actually, I thought that was a good win. I know it wasn't a top 10 win, and but let's go back to BYU football. I wonder what their schedule is. Let's see.
Who you talking
BYU.
about? You talking about BYU?
Yeah, let's see
look,
what their schedule is here. I'm looking it up right now. And
well, I've already got it up. You talking
okay.
about the remaining games? They're at Utah
Yes.
on November 9th. They've got Kansas coming to Provo.
That's a win.
At Arizona State, and then they finish with Houston in Provo.
Well, it looks like BYU has avoided the hardest parts of the Big 12. You know, here's the truth of it. Looking at that schedule, is BYU has avoided the hardest parts of the Big 12 schedule, and basically, if they should win out and go into CFP undefeated, I mean the conference championship anyway.
On paper, they should win out, but I tell you what,
at Utah is not going to be easy late in the year.
it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you straight out. If that game is this week, I would probably go with Utah.
Well,
because Utah's having a bad year, and you can right a lot of wrong by beating your.
Oh yeah, they will be up for it. Arizona State won't be a joke either. Cameron Scatterboo might run all over them.
Yeah, he's having a good year. But BYU is historic, though. If they can win out, it'll be a situation. I think was it 83 or 84 when they went undefeated but didn't win the Natty.
It was 1984, and they did win the Natty.
Oh yeah, they did win.
They beat Michigan. Beat Michigan in the Holiday Bowl.
Sorry, a 6-5 Michigan.
It was controversial.
And a close game.
But that's what put Steve Young in the NFL. Actually,
back then it wasn't so much of people wouldn't like. Well, could BYU beat any of these top 5 teams because they didn't play them? Back then it was just like, okay, BYU went undefeated. No major college program went undefeated that year, so just by default they were national champs. Nowadays, with the playoff and everything, that national championship probably don't happen.
That's true. I think there's some respect for Lavelle Edwards there too, with the sports writers and stuff, that he had invented a system which eventually almost everybody follows, even to this day. And they felt he should have a lot of respect as a coach, and I think they kind of gave that one to him. Even though I'm a big Lavelle Edwards fan, I mean Lavelle Edwards and the coaching tree out of that is phenomenal. I mean the spread option is. And the RPO with the RPO elements was all stems from the spread option that he invented, and the spread passing defense and the quick clock and stuff like that. So many of those elements are used at schools. They can make teams successful. And there's just so many people who are on that philosophy, like Al Mummy was, Leach was on, Mike Leach was the proponent. I mean, it was just a great system. But BYU is right now isn't doing anything that nobody else knows about. So I'm interested in what happens to them in the CFP. How high they'll be seated? Will they automatically, if they're automatically seated as an undefeated conference champion, would you make them the 4 seed?
Tell me this, Bob. Now, this right here is a serious question. Do they have to win out? Does a one-loss BYU still get in?
I think they get in the playoffs, but they don't get. They obviously wouldn't get a high seed. They'd get the lowest seed of a major conference if they did. So what you'd have to say what Big 12 teams didn't get in, right? So if you're looking at it, so is the Big 12 a 3-team conference, or are they a 2-team conference? So
I think they're a 2-team conference. It was looking like them and Iowa State right now.
Well, then that wouldn't change. What would change is who got on the 1 seed line, who got the bye.
That's right. That's right. The winner.
All right. So while we're on the Big 12, let's open another door, Gus.
Bouncing to the left, hey, 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 hey. Bouncing to the right, hey, 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 hey. Those donkey balls about singing, they will not get away. The worthless and the weak, they can't pretend another day.
Are we not
Gus
riding
Bus.
the Gus Bus? Does Gus suck donkey balls? I believe he does. I believe he does suck donkey balls because he's had the resources, and Florida State is down. He should be recruiting the state with their leftovers, and he really hadn't produced. So the Gus Bus has just got a certain level of success, and that's all you get.
Ed, what's wrong with Gus's bus? Tell us about it.
It's the same thing that's always been the case. Never has a defense.
Bouncing to the left.
Oh, I got muted again. But anyway, can you hear me?
To the right.
Hello?
Those donkey balls about singing, they will not get away. The worthless and the weak, they can't pretend another day.
The Gus Bus was so phenomenal, we decided to roll on it again, guys. We just took another ride on the Gus Bus, right?
Yeah, but it's the same problem with him that's always been the case. No defense.
No defense, guys. He just ain't got it going on. Is there like a hippie 70s movie that we could do to accentuate how fabulous it is to be on the Gus Bus? But what is the solution if you fire a Gulf Zone? Who do you get at UCF? Who wants to go there, right?
Maybe Scott Frost comes back.
Goodness. What about Urban Meyer?
I don't think he's coaching again. I think he's enjoying life. Working for Fox. He's no reports of headaches.
Sorry, I walked away for a second. Who are we talking about, Gus?
We're back. The Gus Bus rode back through again. So we had a new introduction that brought back a picture, his swanky picture. So we decided to talk about it in a certain fashion to highlight just how much the Gus Bus sucks donkey balls. So we're
talking about who could end up at UCF, and I said Scott Frost.
Oh, I said Urban Meyer.
If I was Scott Frost, I would want that gig because he did well there, and there's no reason to believe that he can't go there and do it again. I mean, the expectations, there's nothing like Nebraska, so he doesn't have the pressure. He's got Gus really lowering the bar there. He gets to come in and handle it like he can handle it, and he doesn't have to worry about coming in and getting fired. Yeah, if I'm Scott Frost, I'm definitely looking at that.
You're making me think about Matt Rule too a little bit, Doug. Is anybody ever going to be the answer at Nebraska, or are they just a certain level and that's all they ever do?
Okay, so with the the transfer portal kind of changes things, but in the past, Nebraska used Texas as their recruiting hotbed, and they have no affiliations with the state of Texas anymore. They don't play anybody from Texas on a regular basis, and that has killed their recruiting. But you've got the transfer portal now, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Matt Rule is doing what he does in year 2, he's just going up against a higher level of competition that he had than he had at Temple and at Baylor. So instead of 10-2, 11-2 this year, they're probably going to finish around 8-4. Still an improvement. I think he could be the answer.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
All
I'd
right.
love to make Fort Kentucky.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get this last door out of the way just in case our guests show up, right?
There you go.
Let's do it.
Bouncing to the left, hey, 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 hey. Bouncing to the right, hey, 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 hey. Those donkey balls are bouncing and they will not get away. The worthless and the weak, they can't pretend another day.
Hey, he was holding up the right sign. He just it was a great graphic. He was on exactly the sign that he is this week because he sucks donkey balls.
Absolutely. Man, wasn't that a
He's
fucking
not
classic?
getting fired, though.
No, he's not getting fired. And Donkey Balls is not really about coaches that are getting fired unless we put you behind Dead Man Door.
That's right.
Okay.
But he definitely sucked some Donkey Balls this week. And, I mean, this was their opportunity. This was his opportunity to really set the standard in the final stretch. You know, this team can still make the playoffs. But
I don't know about that now.
As an Alabama fan, it gives me a little bit more hope. I still think Alabama's going to have a hard time going to Baton Rouge and winning, but it's definitely not out of the question.
They definitely turned things around a big way last week. They showed that Missouri was a pretender, that's for sure.
I think it was just a competition. Missouri, not a great team, and definitely not without their quarterback.
Yes. They smoked their ass.
Think about Kelly. They went into the locker room 17-7 ahead, and they had played well. Clearly, Elko outcoached him in the second half and made the adjustments that needed to be made because it was 31-6 in the second half.
Hell yeah. They smoked their asses. Now A&M is looking pretty strong going into the last few weeks of the season. I think they've actually got a chance against Texas.
Man, this is interesting to see a Texas A&M team that really looks like they got a chance. You always knew when Jimbo was there, and who was the fellow before Jimbo?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Black fellow, what's his name?
I didn't want to say that, but yeah. I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, someone, Kevin Sumlin. You always knew with those guys that was going to get fucked up somewhere. But with Elko, you're not really getting that sense. And, man, it's going to be such an emotional game. Texas comes to College Station, and that is going to be a huge fucking game. And
hell yeah.
It's definitely not going to shock me if Texas A&M takes Texas down.
Is the loser out?
Texas got one loss. Sorry, I forgot that they didn't lose to Vanderbilt.
But they wouldn't be out, but it would change the seedings in the playoffs. And Texas A&M would go into the SEC championship game with the chance to be a high seed in the playoffs, number 2 or 3 seed, I think. Oh, we have a guest join us.
What's going on, Scully?
Oh man, just chilling. Yourself?
I'm just chilling and waiting on you guys, and this is going to be fire. Alex Bryan's always confident, and you're the most confident Penn State fan that I know, Scully.
There you go.
Well, I tell you what, man, if there's any year or season or game that my Nittany Lions got the best shot that I've seen to beat Ohio State, it's definitely this year.
Now, what is it that you're liking about them this year over what you've seen in the past?
Okay, well, because in the past games, Ohio State always had that marquee player, like last year when they had Marvin Harrison. Well, Penn State and number 44, Tyler Warren.
Hell yeah.
It's a coordinator's nightmare. Who's hold on a second. We don't know who's starting the quarterback on Saturday. Is it going to be Drew or is it going to be Priabula?
Oh yeah. So Ohio
I'm not
State.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know who Ohio State's DC is, but I guarantee you, man, he's pulling a bunch of overtime and having a nightmare how to figure out how he's going to stop this offense.
So you think Penn State's going to run all over?
I tell you what, I'm going to say the final. Penn State's gonna. If Penn State wins, it's going to be within a touchdown. But if there's an opportunity to blow Ohio State out, I think we could do it. Actually, today is our 30th anniversary of when we blew Ohio State out 63-14 back in '94. Second worst loss in Ohio State history.
Oh goodness! So now Golick is in the press box now.
Yeah, I saw that, man.
Ain't that awesome?
How did he pull that off?
Man, he's been working hard to get there, and he's put in the damn time and the effort and the education.
He probably didn't even suck any dicks to get there, did he?
No.
I don't know.
Oh, Scully, I'm telling him you said that, Scully.
I said I didn't know. I didn't say for sure. But hey, man, I'm happy for him. So where's Alex at? Is he here? Or is he running away?
He's not here yet.
Yeah, we need Alex to come on. Now, Ed, what do you think about Penn State? What do you got as their chances?
My question is, are they any better than they've been the past couple years? And I don't know the answer to that question. And I'm not convinced that they have enough offense to take down Ohio State.
So if you're Penn State, what you got to do then is you've got to establish the line of scrimmage. Against most teams, that's highly possible. And that's where you weed out the big boys, literally, because Ohio State recruits as well as anybody, and they're deep on both sides of the line. And that's really the only way that I feel that Penn State can beat Ohio State is to dominate the line of scrimmage and impose their will on them. And I just don't know if that's going to happen.
And Ohio State has to win the game.
Is this true?
As far as I know, Ohio State star left tackle, he's out of the game. And as far as Ohio State's running game, I mean, they were pissed poor last week against Nebraska. And I think we got a way better defense than Nebraska does.
I think that was a trap game. I don't think they were paying attention to Nebraska.
What, you think they were looking ahead for Penn State?
Absolutely.
Well, here's the thing, though, man. Ohio State got more pressure to win this game than we do.
That's true.
I would agree with that.
Because if they lose this game, you got to figure they still got Indiana and they still got Michigan left on their schedule.
They're not losing to Michigan.
Well, no. Listen to me, man. That Ohio State-Michigan game, I don't care if Ohio State is 11-0 and Michigan is 0-11. You don't know who's ever going to win that game.
Yeah,
that's why it's the best rivalry in college football, in my opinion.
It's one of them, that's for sure. Penn State, if they win, it'll be a massive because he's 1-9 against Ohio State. Franklin is at Penn State, so it's a huge win for the program. That's 10 years where you've beat them one time. So it's time right now, especially going into college football playoffs, If Penn State's never going to feather their own nest, they got to do it right now. So this
Is that a night game?
Well, here's the thing, okay? If Penn State loses this game and they win out, and Ohio State say they win out too, Ohio State will go play Oregon in a rematch, right? But Penn State at 11-1, they'll still make the college football playoffs.
They will. That's true.
Now, if we beat Ohio State has 2 losses. But like I said, they have 2 games coming up between Indiana and Michigan. They lose a third, they're done.
But at that point, Penn State's playing Oregon in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah. And we have, what would be crazy? It would be our 30th anniversary of playing Oregon when we played them 30 years ago in the Rose Bowl, and we crushed them 38-20.
So, I hate to throw this up here, and I really hate to bring this up, and it looks like Alex may not make it. I don't know. He's not answering my message here. But anyway, Franklin's got a he's got a bad record in these big games. 1-6 at home versus top 10 teams. 6-9 versus ranked teams at home.
Yeah.
1-8 versus top 5 teams. And of course, like Dr. Ball said earlier, 1-9 versus Ohio State.
Well, that record against top teams is Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah, it's Ohio State and Michigan. But let me tell you this, though. Ryan Day's record against top 5 teams ain't any much better.
No, it's more. You know what keeps him going there? The facial makeup is. I'm only got noticed how much rouge that Ryan Day is running. He's made up. He's got mascara on and shit like that. I'm like, wow. Am I the only one that notices that?
I mean, man, I tell you what, man, I really don't know this guys, but if he's wearing makeup, God bless him.
I swear, every single picture of him online I've ever seen, he's obviously wearing makeup. I'm like, man, what is this guy's deal? Is he a pretty boy? Because he ain't making a good pretty boy. But it's just, I'm a libertarian. I'm for everybody to do what they want, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
So, real quick, guys, let's welcome Alex Bryan. Alex,
hey, Alex.
What's up? How's it going,
buddy?
We just talking about your Buckeyes, Alex.
We thought you was like a little scared rabbit.
Scared of you? Scared of you, Scully? No way.
Of course it is.
No shot.
I got to represent my Nittany Lions.
I feel it. They're pretty solid this year.
Hey, did you get our stat, Alex, that said that Franklin is 1-9 against Ohio State?
He sure is. with that fluke win in 2016.
What happened to make
what though? That fluke win. Also, we ended up winning the Big Ten championship that year.
You sure did. You made the
That's
most.
right. We came back from being 2-2 in our first 4 games, running the table, beating a heavily favored Wisconsin team. I don't know what it is about whiskey. We've always been a thorn in their side. The only ranked. Listen to this: when Bill O'Brien came to Penn State, he had 1 top 25 win, and that was against whiskey.
Wild.
So we've always been a thorn in their side.
Yeah, we have 2 from time to time.
Oh, dude, you guys smashed the shit out of Wisconsin more than usual.
Yeah.
I mean, look what Alabama did to them.
We've handed them a handful of Big Ten title game losses ourselves.
Oh, yeah, dude. When I always saw it was Ohio State versus whiskey, I was like, nah, they got this one.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, man, that whiskey game last week for us, when Brian Bullock come in, I wasn't too worried because he's always been a solid number 2 quarterback for us. But here's the thing, though, and I mentioned this too, Alex, that your defensive coordinator has no clue who's going to start Saturday, and James Franklin is more secretive than the CIA when it comes to team injuries. He's not going to tell you until prior to kickoff.
The second I saw that they weren't sure it's going to be day to day, and it would be a game time decision, I was like, they know who's going to start. They know who's going to, and they should just prep for both quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So what's the new rule on that? Isn't there a rule of disclosure of the starting lineup by a certain time now in the NCAA?
No, there's no rule on that.
I thought
None that I heard of.
They had the depth chart had to be updated by a certain time.
I think that's the NFL.
That's the NFL.
I know the NFL, but there was something. It might be the SEC where they have to.
Yeah, maybe that's a SEC only thing. Yeah, that would make more sense. But
yeah, because that's a real keen tactic in order to throw the other team off. You know, if you ask me. But they don't really. I mean, if you're as good as Ohio State is, even though Penn State has done well, you don't really care who they start. You know, I don't think it changes what you do against Penn State. In my opinion, the least chance Penn State has is to dominate the line of scrimmage. Now,
which they can do.
Yeah, because Alex, he was just mentioning. I mean, Scully was just mentioning a while ago that the left tackle was out for Ohio State, but I figured they're probably pretty deep there.
Honestly, we're not because we haven't recruited well enough. This goes to before Justin Fry came in to be our offensive line coach. The last guy we had, Greg Studrawa, who was at LSU, he wasn't great at recruiting either. I mean, he landed a couple great ones, obviously like Paris Johnson and DeJuan Jones. But outside of that, he didn't recruit very well. And then we bring in Justin Fry, and he's not recruiting well either. So we don't have a lot of depth there. And obviously, we didn't adjust and give Zen Mikulski any help. So he was getting dominated all game. And so
they could have used a back to chip or a tight end to chip. I see what you're saying, you know.
Ryan Day said basically like, oh yeah, he's gonna be our guy. But then at the end of his press conference said, we're gonna experiment and look to see who our best five are. So he he backtracked from committing to Zen being the left tackle again. There's a guy named Luke Montgomery on the team who doesn't get enough love. I think he's one of the better ones we have in that offensive line room. And I'm just trying to think why we can't plug him in and move some other guys around. So I don't understand it. I think Justin Fry. I was a big Justin Fry defender. I am no longer. I hope he gets fired after the year. Whatever happens, I hope he leaves. I need an offensive line coach who can develop and recruit like a motherfucker. I need a Brian Hartline or James Laurinaitis of the offensive line. Give me Orlando Pace. Give me another former Buckeye because all these former Buckeye coaches are great.
Tell me, guys, is this number 4 versus number 3 ranking? Is this the highest combined rankings of these two teams in recent memory?
As far as I remember,
in recent memory, it is.
In recent memory, yeah.
I can't think of when it's been higher than that for both. I mean, obviously we've been in like the top 3 a few times, but I don't think they've been up there.
I think we might have been in a top 10 or maybe top 15 when we faced you, when you guys were in the top 5, I would say. But that's us both being in the top 5. I can't remember the last time we were both in the top 5.
I'm looking it up right now. Last year it was 3 versus 7. 2017 it was 2 Penn State versus 6 Ohio State. So that's probably the closest right there.
Yeah, that might be the closest.
2 versus 6. So yeah, this is honestly the first time since here's one. Back in 1996, it was 3 Ohio State versus 4 Penn State. So that's That's the only other time this has been a both teams in the top 10 matchup. There was 1996.
Yeah. And what and I'm going to talk about the betting line. It was it kind of surprised me that Penn State's a home dog, and it started. It started. No, I got them. I got Penn State with the 4 points, but it dropped down to 3.5. I'm thinking to myself,
it may be because of the Aller injury. Maybe
that possibly could be. But you got to think of it this way.
He's playing, isn't he?
But you got to think of it this way. Priabola, he came in for Drew when we were down in that game. And he's the one that led us back to not only win,
right?
We won by 15 points?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I was, I tell you what, my outlook at this game is what team's going to run the ball better? For one, I think whatever team, and then if turnovers could kill us. Same with you. I tell you what, you turn the ball. Any team that turns the ball over, I'd say 3 times in that game, you might as well just chalk them down.
Right.
I mean, look what happened in Navy against Notre Dame. I mean, dude, they turned the ball over 6 times.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't care who you are, unless you're maybe Alabama back in the days of the Saban days. You turn the ball over and say you turn the ball over 6 times, you're on the way of losing that game. Like,
well, they never turned it over 6 times.
I'm pretty sure Bama turned the ball over 3 times versus Ole Miss in 2015 and lost.
Yeah, yeah. But I was telling the guys before you came in though. I think the only difference and the edge that we have over you is that we got number 44 Tyler Warren, a marquee player. Because you guys, I mean, I know about your receiving core, and it's top notch, and that scares me. But we have Tyler Warren, and he's to us what your Marvin Harrison was you last year.
Yeah, he's a dude.
Dude, I think he's the best tight end in college football.
The thing,
and I'm not saying that because I'm Penn State biased, dude. I mean, come on, look what he does.
Here's what I'm confident about, and here's what I'm worried about. What I'm confident about is the fact that unlike Oregon, who has like a million fucking weapons, Penn State has that one. They have some good running backs too, but they have that tight end. That worries me because that makes me think of Iowa 2017, where a tight end just bled us all day.
Yeah.
So if we can shut down Tyler Warren, we take out a good chunk of their offense. So
yeah, I'll tell you the truth. I think he's any team's defensive coordinator's nightmare.
But I am worried now after that Nebraska game about the offensive line, because you got some dudes on that line who will do a lot more to us than Nebraska did. I think Nebraska against Indiana was kind of a fluke. Not to say Indiana's good. I think that score was a fluke. I think Nebraska was honestly probably looking ahead to us a little bit, and that's what led to them getting beat to fuck so bad. If you play that game 10 times, 9 out of 10 times, it's probably like a 1-score game, 10 points at max.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that.
But
I tell you what, though, I think Indiana, they got that gauntlet coming up. They got Sparty, then they got Ohio State, and then they got to play Michigan.
I think they're going to beat the brakes off team up north.
I don't think they're going to come out of those 3 games without taking a loss.
I think they're going to be 11-1, and the only game they lose is to us. And I think even with us, it'll be a dogfight. Indiana's looking real. They're looking
Their quarterback's
really
back this week, which makes a big difference in East Lansing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I looked at their schedule. I don't think they really played anybody.
They haven't, but they have played like very clean football every game. They haven't looked bad one time. Unlike us, who just looked bad last weekend. Like, I can't even say that because we've lost and we just looked bad last weekend. So it's like, fuck, man. I like that graphic. That's sick.
I gotta say, when
I'm
we
glad you
played
like it. Ain't that sexy?
That is sexy.
Bowling Green, and they played it, but I didn't notice until after the game.
What'd you say?
He
And
got
transferred. So he already knew Tom Allen's defense. You know what I'm saying?
One of your guys?
Yeah. Well, okay. The quarterback for Bowling Green.
Oh yeah, I forgot you guys have Tom Allen on your staff. I totally forgot about that.
He played for Indiana. So when he came in to play us, he already knew Tom Allen's defensive scheme. That's why he was so successful, and that's why he played Bowling Green played a close game to us.
Yeah, that was bizarre. I was surprised.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, dude, trust me. I was like, listen, I was like, if we lose the fucking Bowling Green, I was like, that would have put a big dump on all my hopes for this year.
Right.
Yeah.
So how pissed are you on a scale of 1 to 10? This game isn't at night.
Oh my god, dude! I want to punch the sports executives at Fox for making this a noon game, but it's a straight out. So expect 107,000 there.
Listen, I will gladly avoid a Penn State whiteout every other year. I just need it to happen one time in the future so I can go to it and experience it, and then after that, it can be noon from then on out. I don't care.
Well, our boy Kyle, he's up in the press box. I'm sure he can score you a ticket.
Well, he's actually supposed to be on the Buckeye Bro show tomorrow. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're gonna talk with him. We're gonna see where his head's at. He's usually the most level-headed Penn State fan I talk to, and when it comes to expectations and stuff. So we'll see if he's believing or if he's pretending to believe.
He's more modest. Listen, I love Kyle to death. I met him one time. We watched a game together a few years ago. Matter of fact, it was against Wisconsin. Kyle's a great guy, really great guy. He's more modest about Penn State.
I would say this: Kyle is a Penn State apologist.
Yes,
it's like.
Yeah,
he never really says that they're going to win. You can tell when he's a little bit more confident, but he never says Penn State's got this. I've never heard him say that.
Right. He's a very I'm ready to be hurt again Penn State fan.
Yes.
which usually I'm the same way with Ohio State. I'm like, at this point, I'm ready. Like the Oregon game, I was like, I'm ready to be hurt again, and I was hurt again. So,
Scully, what's your secret? How the hell do you stay so delusional, Scully?
Well, I was a Penn State fan since I was 7 years old, and you'll never hear me tell you Penn State's going to lose. Even if I do believe they're going to lose, you'll never hear me say it. But I think this year, man, I think we really got a special team. Even if, like I was, Alex, like I was telling the guys earlier, you guys got more to lose in this game than we do.
Oh, yeah, especially since we lost.
Because if you lose to us, that definitely knocks you out of the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, and probably the playoff, inevitably.
No, I tell you what.
It might. Don't say
10 and
no.
2 Ohio. Listen, a 10-2 Ohio State. You'll go, especially if
Well-
you beat Indiana.
Well,
You'll
well,
definitely.
you gotta
beat
think.
Indiana. You beat Michigan. You're in the playoffs.
You
have
gotta
a
think
better
about it
chance than
though,
Alabama, huh?
because you got to think about it though. If there's enough right now, if the playoffs were today, there's enough one-loss teams to fill an entire playoff. So if there's enough one-loss teams, or if there's just not enough one-loss teams, but like there's a better 10-2 team in their eyes, we could get left out, especially if we don't have the
Ohio State goes 10-2. They're an 8 or a 9 seed.
We might get in, but yeah,
okay,
but I
listen.
agree, because if Penn State loses this game, they're gonna win out after, because they have a pretty easy slate afterwards. The only team that's really hard is Washington.
I would say
The
I'm not
Minnesota
worried
game could be
about
a trap.
Washington game. The Minnesota game could be a trap. And
probably
believe
not.
it or not, Maryland can be that type of team that, hey, we ain't got nothing to lose, so we're going to throw everything we got in the kitchen sink at Penn State to beat them.
At this rate, realistically,
like
you're
the
11-1
blackout a
at
couple
worst.
years ago.
Like the only expectation that anybody realistically put on Penn State this year was, with this schedule, James Franklin has to make the playoff. He's going to. He's going to. You can't fuck up after this game, win or lose. You can't fuck up the rest of that schedule. You just can't.
No, but here's the thing about Penn State. Here's the thing about
he
Penn
would
State.
resign if he
you could probably ask Kyle this when you talk to him tomorrow. Penn State has a habit of playing to the level of their competition.
So do we half the time.
So here's what I got to ask: during the Franklin tenure, how many 12-team playoffs would they have missed? Probably not that many.
Yeah, I don't think that many.
2.
So I would say, that James Franklin said that he would resign if he didn't go to the playoffs, not because he felt so confident that he would make the playoffs. He just felt a lot more confident with 12 spots.
Yeah.
As he should. I mean, like that with the schedule they had this year, the only game anybody was looking at was like this one this weekend, and then after that they were
listen. I'm going to tell you something.
Possibly fuck this up.
Listen, I'm going to tell you from a Penn State's point of view, Penn State fans' point of view, the away game 1 against West Virginia, that worried me. And the USC game, because you know that we've never beaten USC on their home field.
You almost fucked that up. We almost
fucked it up. But you know what, though? Even I'll go back to Bobby Bowden. Bobby Bowden said, sometimes to be a national champion, you got to have some luck on your side.
Absolutely.
I think we got a little lucky in that game.
Yeah.
But we pulled it out, man. I was happy.
Yeah.
Trust me. I was more happy that we beat USC than we beat Wisconsin last week.
Right.
Okay, so guys, we can't pick on this game tonight because we've got the Friday episode. But let's go ahead and get a prediction from both of you guys. Go ahead, Alex.
I mean, obvious after last week, I've been back and forth on this in my head. I'm gonna pick my Buckeyes just because of James Franklin's record against us and how I know we can beat them. But this is gonna be more like a 2017-2018 Ohio State Penn State game. I'm gonna take us 28-24.
I got a question, Alex, real quick. When's the last time you picked the other team at game time against your Buckeyes?
At game time?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I know you had
The
Oregon
Georgia
before
game.
the season started. Oh,
The Georgia game.
okay.
I picked Georgia
All
to
right.
beat us.
All right.
And I unfortunately was right.
Okay, now I'm going to get a little specific. I believe that Penn State's going to be up 3 points by halftime. Okay. I believe Penn State's defense will eventually hold when Ohio State is within 6 points of tying us. A touchdown would beat us. But I say that they stay within 6 points of 6 points of the final score. My prediction is Penn State 27, Ohio State 21.
All right,
Well,
so James Franklin's about to get his second win versus the Buckeyes. So,
and will he suck donkey balls? Is the question.
the loser of this team
Hey,
is coming on donkey balls next week.
James Franklin should be happy that Ryan Day exists, because Ryan Day loses a game and the media's at his throat. James Franklin loses this game, nobody cares.
So let's go ahead and give that guarantee, Bob. The losing coach is definitely on donkey balls next week.
And they're live champions too.
Don't expect James Franklin to talk if they lose, though, because he'll just have some other guy come up to the podium and say, we're not answering questions about this at this time.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to have some role play and beat James Franklin for the public, right? So if they suck donkey balls, I'll give it a shot. And I'll try to beat James Franklin for the public and make excuses as why they lost. Scully, that's why they got to win, so that they don't suck donkey balls. And then Ryan Day, he's had his own troubles against the top 5 over the years, so it's time for him to win some too. It's kind of like if you ask me, it's like the irresistible force meets the immovable object of losing.
That was the same thing with Day and Lanning. Both of them could have won big games. One had to.
There you go.
Of course, it had to be them.
All right, guys.
I tell you what, from a Penn State's perspective, from a fan's perspective, if James Franklin wins this game, a lot of the Penn State faithful will be off his ass.
There you go.
Yeah, him winning this game, he'll have some breathing room.
All they got to do is make the playoffs.
You're right.
All they got to do is
here's the thing, though, man. If we beat Ohio State, our expectations is we're going to win the Big Ten.
Yeah, unless
even if we lose the Big Ten, I believe the championship game. I think we'll definitely still make the playoffs. But if we beat Ohio State, I believe that we have a team that could win the Big Ten championship and be in the top 4 at the end of the year. Yeah, we better be. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, worst case scenario, I think Penn State's going to host a playoff game in Happy
Let me ask you this, Alex, I'm sorry. Let me ask you this, Alex. Who scares you more, Drew Aller or Bo Pribola?
Who? Oh, your backup?
Yeah, what quarterback scares you more?
Drew Aller. Drew Aller's from Ohio, so I'm familiar with his game.
Well, you know what? I heard your quarterback give some shit about. He was like, "Fucking Penn State denied me coming there. I always wanted to play at Penn State."
He was a big Penn State fan growing up.
Yeah, he was like, and they didn't even recruit me and shit. So your quarterback's coming in with a little revenge.
Well, they did. They did. They were looking at him, and then he got hurt, and then they stopped caring about him. So that's his whole thing. But no, I'm familiar with Drew Aller. I actually had a lot of Wolverine fans last year bash me because I said Drew Aller would be a better college quarterback by career end than J.J. McCarthy. And I still think that's true.
No.
I still think J.J. McCarthy's a fraud. He was only good because they cheated. Nobody cares about J.J. McCarthy.
You're still on those signs. Still on those signs.
Drew Aller will be a better college quarterback by career end than J.J. McCarthy. He doesn't need a natty or anything to do it. He's just going to be better. He's going to be a better pro quarterback too, however far he goes. J.J. McCarthy's never going to start.
Any final thoughts, guys?
Drew's got another year after this year too.
Goodness.
Drew Aller's a great quarterback.
Yeah, he's good.
Chris Scully, fuck your team. If you want to bet money on it again, you let me know. Go Bucks. And fuck you, Penn State.
All right, Scully, you got a chance. You got a chance. Make the best of it.
I tell you what, man, I can't bet any money on this one, but I tell you what, we'll do profile picture for 2 weeks.
Okay, I can do that.
That's gonna sting a little bit harder. But just put it this way, motherfucker, you're coming into our house where we dictate whether you hear the snap count.
You mean
or
our second home?
We are forever Penn State.
How many games have you won against us there in the last decade?
That's all right, man. It's a new year.
All right, so guys, we're leaving. We're heading out. Scully, you need to sit here and listen to our new hit song on the way out. Okay.
Oh,
All
yes.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Your team sucks, donkey bone. Your team sucks, donkey bone. You're probably getting fired before the season's end. May even lose your wife and your asshole friend.
Your Team Sucks Donkey Balls is a presentation of Smacking Off the podcast. Stream in every week for another victim as we kick them while they are down.